Okay, I think we can start now. We have a good number of participants. Sujata and Tanya, if you're okay, we can start, right? Okay, so before that, and very warm welcome to all of you. I know it's a weekend and we all want to relax and we all want to like spend some time with the family. But I always say that this is also our kind of extended family. It's like our HR group. We all meet and have these learning sessions every now and then, but I'm sure that in our participant list we have newcomers as well who doesn't still don't know about our core HR IR initiative and the group. So I will not take much time, but I would definitely love to give you a very quick introduction on what this group is and what initiatives we do. The reason why I'm giving you this is that first you know about our group, and second is please join our group as an active participant, active member. Give more suggestions how we can make it more efficient, more interactive. So a very quick round of introduction to our group and how we reached here, what is our journey and what is the objective and aim of this particular workshop and this particular group. So just give me a second. I hope you can see my slide. We just want to talk about a bit on our journey. So first of all, I am Kamal Patania and I am based in Singapore, and I am an active member of Core HR IR Group, and I lead the APAC chapter here. Um, I'm extremely delighted today that we are hosting this particular seminar, not just for India, but also for the entire APAC, and we have participants from all over from the Asia Pac countries. We have participants from Singapore, Malaysia, Philippines, India, and all other places. So I'm very delighted that is going to be a very APAC driven session. We might learn a lot about how the things works in different part of the world, and that's exactly the motive. So about the group, Core HRIR was formed in around 2017, and the vision was very simple, that we want to become a global platform where we are sharing the knowledge and insights. We set the building blocks and develop best practices and share the best practices. HR is not just about we are working in one industry, but across the industry. Share the best practices on that platform. So that was kind of a very simple goal that was laid in front of us, and then we grew on top of it, and today we have around more than 5,000 plus HR professional all around the world, not just in India, Singapore, but UK, Dubai, and the rest of the world. And our vision is definitely to grow more and more exponentially, so that we have a learning platform that we wish to achieve. So that is, and I want to give you a bit of glimpse, and I know that some of you might have attended some of our workshops and the learning workshops earlier, but for those newcomers, these sessions are norm. We do conduct time to time on various topics. The topics comes from you, from our audience. You tell us what you want to learn about, and then we go about it. um, so I want to just share very quickly a very happy news that we received this year, that we are also a preferred partner in HRCI, which is a US based organization, which is Human Resource Certification Institute, and all the HR professionals know about it. So we are a kind of a preferred partner there, which is a very good big achievement for our group as well, to grow and to share on this particular platform. Just a very quick, that it's not always about boring workshops and just talk about it. We do have fun, and I wish that we always bring fun element to it. So we do have chai buddy sessions or coffee sessions. Unfortunately, that because of COVID we couldn't do that anymore, but I'm sure that we will be doing it very very soon. For APAC, for Singapore, we will arrange a session soon, and the virtual many other sessions in India, as well as the as it is whatever permissions are being granted by our country, and based on the situation. But we did had in the past, and these kind of sessions are actually more interactive. So we do encourage a lot of these sessions as well. We do also have webinars, and seminars in person. but nevertheless, we'll make the most out of it in the virtual sessions as well. So, you know, this is a new norm we all are living in. So we definitely will keep it going. But someday we will wish to see each other in person as well, right? And definitely social media presence, you can always find us there, join us, be an active participant in the group, share the best practices, share the values across. And that's our core strength, basically, to do more together and grow together. So I won't take much now, and I thought that, in today's world, this topic which we are going to talk about today, how to manage emotions in the workplace, I think uh, it is very apt. We all are going through various emotions nowadays, especially during that COVID time, difficult time for all of us. So it's very apt that at this point we talk a bit more about emotions in the workplace. How do we handle it? And that's the reason why we have our experts here, and I'll just give a very brief introduction before passing the baton to our experts. So we have Sujata Parashar on the call, and she's a renowned novelist and a short story writer. And I must tell you that I'm a big fan of yours, Sujata. I read all your books, all your stories, and I'm a big fan. So that is my first fan following, I would say. But she also wear a second hat, which is she's a founder of Talk It Out Expert Therapy. She's a talk therapist, and that's the reason why she understands quite a lot about emotions and how do we bring the best out of it in our workplace. And she has done quite a number of workshops in the APAC as well. We also have Tanya Lashkar. She is a expert in counseling, psychologist, and creative movement therapist. And I'm very sure that today's session will be very, very fruitful for all of us. We will learn from each other, from our experts as well as. So let's keep it more interactive. Ask as many questions. In your chat windows, you can ask the question, or we do have some interactions going on. I'm sure you might have received a Word document, which is a recording sheet. So we'll talk more about how we can bring more interactive, be more interactive on this session. So without further ado, I will stop sharing my screen and I'll pass it over to Sujata and Tanya. Thank you so much, and again, a very warm welcome.
Thank you, Kamal. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kamal. So let me just get onto my screen and start sharing it before I move on. Just let me know that whether this is visible, my screen, whether you can see it or not.
Yes, we can very well see that, Sujata.
Sujata, you have to do a slideshow.
Yeah, I'm just about to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Kamal, for that lovely introduction, lovely and warm introduction. Happy morning to all of you. As Kamal said, it's a lovely, bright morning here in Delhi, and I'm sure it must be the same all across. So we are very excited. Tanya and I are very excited and happy to be here and interacting with you all, and looking forward to this discussion. Of course, the aim is to keep it as interactive as possible. We do have certain activities where we would like all of you to participate, and some of you to at least come up with your responses and your thoughts to those activities. There are some questions that we have received beforehand. We will be taking some of them depending on the time. May not be able to take all the questions. However, we do request you to, if you have any questions, do let us know. We will try to respond, if not here, if not today, then we will come back to you via email through Kamal and Veer. Once again, very happy morning and very good morning to each one of you. Moving on, we usually start with talking about our platform. Just as Core HR IR, we also started off somewhere in 2017 informally. But the formal induction of my platform, the Talk It Out Express, happened in 2019. That is when we formally organized ourselves and started the consulting platform. The idea was very simple: to enhance socio-emotional skills of professionals and also at a personal level. So that was the overall idea. We have 3 verticals under Talk It Out Express. The first one is actually consulting on one-to-one basis. It could be virtual or it could be physical, face-to-face consulting with individuals. The second one is the workshop model under which we are doing this program. Now the workshops could be intimate, an intimate affair of not more than 15 to 20 people. Those are highly interactive, but we also do large group interactive events like this one, where these are also very interactive, programs. However, not everybody can, each one of you may not be able to participate. However, the aim is always to make sure, to ensure that, everybody gets a feel of whatever is happening. And that is why we invite and encourage people to come forward and share their thoughts, especially during the activities that we do. The third one is our third platform, or the third initiative or program under Talk It Out Express is a club. It's called the Talk Buddies Club. I was, listening when Kamal was going on about the Chai Buddy thing. So we also have something similar, but it's not Chai Buddy. It's called Talk Buddies Club, where idea is, of course, again, to have meaningful, fun conversations. We have a presence in Clubhouse and outside Clubhouse as well. Kamal is a member on both the platforms, where we once a month we choose a topic. Members choose a topic, or sometimes I suggest a topic, and then we have fun conversation, meaningful conversation around food, photography, films, anything, you name it, writing, poetry, anything that is of interest. Again, the idea is to share, to talk, to have fun. Okay, so this is very briefly about us. Now, may I request one of you, anyone, to please read this quote? Anyone? Maybe Kamal, you could start.
Sure, I can do that. So yeah, so every business in the end is human business. It is thus critical to recognize, understand, and manage emotions effectively in order to make a success of your business. How beautiful.
Thank you, Kamal. So this is a quote, I came up with some time back, but I decided to use it for today's session. I haven't used it before anywhere else. But I'm sure most of you will agree that at the end of the day, anything that we do, any work that we do, at the end of the day, it's human business. And thus, it is extremely important that we learn to recognize, understand, and then finally be able to manage emotions effectively in order to make a success of our professional lives as well as personal lives and interpersonal relationships. Now, this is one of the, one of the given exercises that we do. We always start with something like this. It's a warm-up activity, very simple. Name the emotion. It's called Name the Emotion. All you have to do is that introduce yourself, and I would require about 5 volunteers to come up and introduce themselves, their comfort food or their favorite food, and the emotion it evokes. What kind of emotion does that food evoke in you? So I've given some examples here as it may make you feel a little more calm, soothes you, satiates you, makes you feel joyful, uplifts you, etc. So try to use different synonyms. I would like everyone to attempt this exercise. Please do it. You may have your notepads and pens with you. If you don't, please bring it out, because we have some other exercises also where you require your notepad and pen. So a few seconds for that while you take out your notepads and pens. I'll explain this once again, and I'll start with myself. Try to use different synonyms and different words to describe the feeling or emotion that your comfort food brings out. You may know that, all of you may agree also that food has a strong connection with our thoughts and our emotions. So when we are happy, in a happy mood, in a celebratory mood, what comes to mind first thing is food. What to have, what to order, where to go to celebrate an occasion, right? So you are in you're emotionally in a very happy state and you want to celebrate, you think of food. Also, when you are in a low life condition, you are feeling distressed, then also you crave for a certain kind of food, right? You may or may not realize it, but food is something that at times helps you deflect from pain. At other times, it dissipates anger and sadness. So it's a coping mechanism. It's a short-term coping mechanism that you can use to distract yourself, or to, immediately, if you want to calm down a little bit from whatever intense emotion that you're feeling, this is one of the ways you can do so. Now, coming to me, my comfort food is soup and salad. I'm a non-vegetarian, so any non-vegetarian soup and salad, I can subsist on it throughout the year. And also Singapore chicken and rice. I've lived in Singapore for 4-5 years. And Kamal knows this for very well. I've been mentioning it to her several times that that is one of my most favorite food. I can, have it for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and I'm not joking about it. The feeling it gives me, or how it makes me feel, is distracted from any immediate, wrong thought or emotion. If emotionally I'm in a bad mood or whatever. So these two food, the cuisines that I mentioned, or the dishes that I mentioned, they make me feel a little easy. Also, it makes me, it distracts me momentarily for a short time. And then even if the thought comes back, if the emotion comes back, the intensity is already gone down. So it is helpful. Now, the words that I used was distracts, easy, makes me feel easy, and distracts. Now, these are the words that I'm looking forward from you also. I would require 5 volunteers to please come forward and share. Introduce yourself and share your comfort food.
Hello. Hello.
Yes,
we can hear you.
yes.
Sunita?
Yeah, I'm Sunita, working as a deputy manager for staffing in Quest Corp Limited.
Hi, Sunita.
I stay in Bangalore, JP Nagar.
Right.
When it comes to food, I actually like fish curry and boiled rice, which gives me come out of my all bad and emotions. And when it comes to sweets, I like paisam. So whenever I tense, I like to have paisam and fish curry and boiled rice.
Wow.
Thank you
Great.
so much. Yeah. Thank you.
Sunita, thank you. Thank you so much. That was wonderfully done. So it helps you come out of bad emotions. That's the key word that
Yes,
I'm
yes.
looking for.
Yes, when there
Cool.
is a fish curry and boiled rice, I never think of anything. I'll just eat. That's it.
Okay, great. Thank you, Sunita.
Yes,
Anyone
thank
else, please?
Hi, my name is, hello. My name is
Tanvi.
Tanvi. Hi. My name is Tanvi. I'm from Singapore and I'm a freelance in the performing arts. So for me, my comfort food, I've got a few, but the one that I can think of outright is Japanese curry, a vegetarian Japanese curry with some hot piping rice. So for me, it makes me feel grounded and it somehow inspires and calms me as well.
Thank you very much, Tanvi. That was well put. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lakshmi. I'm a sales director. I'm based in Singapore. I've known Kamal for a long time. She invited me for this today. My comfort food is chicken biryani, the spicy South Indian stuff, and it puts me on an adrenaline rush. It makes me happy and it makes me think straight.
Wow. Thank
I
you.
love the Indian food and I miss it so much.
Yeah. Luckily for me, Lakshmi, I get chicken rice, the Singapore style chicken rice in Delhi as well. So I don't miss it so much. In your case, you miss the Indian food. I don't miss the Singapore. Thank you. Well said. Thank you.
I heard Digvijay, you wanted to say something. I saw in the chat you wanted to say something, Digvijay.
We've got 3 ladies.
Okay.
Where are the men?
Yeah.
Introduce yourself, please. Come up on the virtual platform. Let us hear you. Yes, Digvijay.
Or anyone else from the guys, if you want to share. I'm sure you have.
Anyone, actually, please come
Don't be
forward.
shy.
Anyone, yeah, anyone, please come forward, share your favorite comfort food. It's not so difficult, is it?
Good morning. Good morning. This is Salil Sharma. I'm calling from Delhi, Noida area.
Hi,
Can you hear me?
Salil. Yes.
Yes.
So actually, in my opinion, the timing is also very important in this kind of scenario. No, don't you think?
The timing of, sorry.
Yeah. Timing of sadness, joyness, and the type of food you like.
It all depends on what is your emotion, how emotionally you are at that moment in time.
Okay.
It may be that I don't really think that you worry about the time, what time of the day it is. So you could be in a distressed state, and it might be evening or night or whatever. You will crave for a certain food. Whether you have it finally or not is all completely up to you, right?
Okay.
But you may crave for it. So please go ahead. Yeah.
So for me, when I'm joyful, I will like to have anything just related to chicken. And when I'm sad, I would like to be something on like khichdi or something and light food.
Right. Right. Thank you. And you are based out of Delhi, right? Okay. Great.
Right. Absolutely.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? I just need one more volunteer to come up with their, just share about yourself and the food that you enjoy.
Hi, can I go?
Please go
Yes,
ahead.
Sanjoy.
Yeah, this is Sanjoy from Mumbai. I'm heading HR for a Swiss company for South Asia. My good food is Nestle's curd, which I love and I'm fond of so much. I can have anytime, 24/7. And when I'm not good or under stress, that time I can pick up some chocolate that soothes my mood and keeps me better.
Right. What is the emotion it evokes, Sanjoy, when you are having chocolate? How does it make you feel emotionally? When you're having your favorite food, how does it make you feel?
I feel relieved, calm, and relaxed. This is what comes to my mind.
Right. Thank you very much. Relieved and calm. And Salil, I did not ask you this question. How does it make you feel when you're having khichdi or chicken? So how does it make you feel emotionally?
That was for Salil.
Salil?
Yes, sir. I think he went on mute.
May not be.
No
Yeah.
worries. Yeah. I think Uma wanted to say something, but I think there was a
Yeah,
mix of that. Uma, go ahead.
Now I think you can hear me now.
Salil, yes.
Yes, Salil.
But yeah.
So when we are having joyful feeling and when we take chicken, so it ultimately helps you to celebrate the occasion, something like that, right?
Right.
But when you are sad and you take light food, it helps you to to become normal, to become calm. It's related to light food, I would say.
Yeah, no, I understand that. But what I am trying to, get from you is how do you feel emotionally when you are thinking or eating your, the food that you crave for, whether a happy situation or a sad situation? What are the emotions? If you had to put a word to that emotion, what word will you use? For
Always
example, Sanjay said relieved.
Yeah. Happy is emotion. Happy, I would say.
Happy. Right.
Happy emotion, yes.
Right. Thank you very much. Uma, please go ahead. So sorry about that mix-up.
Not at all. Hi, everybody. I'm Uma from Visakhapatnam. I'm a freelance trainer. I eat a lot of chocolate, whenever I'm little down or sad. And that really, kind of makes me feel so good. And after a while, I feel very uplifted and, I'm back and I feel very bounced back. Chocolate is something, or anything related to chocolate. It could be a chocolate ice cream or anything of that. Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well said, Uma. Thank you very much. I like how you described bounce back. That's one word. If I had to use another synonym, I would say resilience. So chocolate builds your resilience again, so that is something that I wanted to mention or point out to you, that When you start using a word for an emotion, you will be able to respond better to that emotion. So you will be able to recognize that which is that emotion that is at play and how to tackle it. If it is a negative emotion, how are you tackling it? So a certain food builds up your resilience again. Chocolate builds up your resilience again. Again, a short-term way of coping with a negative emotion is something that I wanted to bring out. So some of the words that came up during this, thank you very much everyone for sharing your comfort food, sharing with all of us. So some of the words that came up were bad emotions, takes care of bad emotions, makes one feel grounded, calm, think straight, feel happy, relieved, uplifted, and bounce back. Wants you to bounce back, makes you feel as if you have bounced back. So these are some of the keywords. Please note, these are all affirmative, positive words. So food has a direct connect with our thoughts and emotions, and one of the short-term ways how you can cope with a negative emotion. Okay, let's move on. Now, the word emotion, what is the source or what is the etymology of this word? It comes from Middle French. However, the original source of this word is from the Latin language, where it goes as emovere. Emovere means to move through or move out. And if you simplify it further, it means emotion, in motion. So emotion is when you are taking action, some kind of action. Dance is a kind of emotion. Anything that makes you act comes from your emotion. Let me help you, help explain this with the help of an example or a couple of examples. Supposing you are late for a conference and you are entering the conference room, everybody is sitting there, already there, and they are talking in somber terms. They are very subdued in their behavior. So as soon as you enter the conference room, automatically, if you were in a high life state or you were, kind of in an excited state, you will also somber down. Your behavior will also change. You will also start talking in hushed tones. Now, this is a direct impact of the emotion or the vibrations going around in the room. Emotionally, your body has prepared you. That's the defense mechanism. So emotion is nothing but your body's defense mechanism for survival. It prepares you to behave in a certain way. Another example I will tell you is when you're walking down a street and you spot a snake. So the immediate reaction is either you will hit it with a stone or you will run away. Again, the emotion acting here is fear. Out of fear, either you will hit the snake or out of fear, you will run away. So basically, what is an emotion? Emotion is your body's defense mechanism for survival. Any and every action we do, any or every behavior that we show is actually, it actually sprouts from your emotion. It comes from within. Your emotion makes you act. And that is why it is so important to pay attention to our emotions, because emotions will reflect in the behavior. Now, psychologists around the world have come up with different myriad forms of emotion, more than 100 kinds of emotions. However, there are 5 or 6 basic emotions that are felt universally and that are visible also universally. You can identify easily. Which are these 5 or 6 basic emotions? Happiness, sadness, anger, fear, surprise, and disgust. These are 6 emotions which are universally felt and can be identified more easily. However, complex emotions like jealousy, competitiveness, letharginess, these things are very difficult to identify. These emotions are not easily visible. So you may put up a show. You can pretend to be very excited, but you are feeling lethargic within, right? So these are complex emotions. And as I mentioned, there are hundreds of kinds of emotions that psychologists have come up with. However, the basic ones, the 5 or 6 ones, please pay attention once again to the 5 or 6 basic ones: happiness, sadness, anger, fear, surprise, and disgust. Now, we did an activity, a warm-up activity just before this, and I stressed on the fact that please give word to the emotion. You know, whatever emotion you're feeling, give a word to it. Here, we have done the similar thing. Now, anger can be a mere annoyance. If you can see on the screen, the red one, the flower, the red petal, in between, anger is actually here. Let me just, here. Anger is something that can be a rage at a very high degree, or the lower degree would be annoyance. Now, everyone, all of us should be able to identify that whether when we are angry, are we in rage kind of a situation, or are we just merely annoyed with someone? Why so? Because the kind of emotion that we are feeling will decide the kind of action that we need to take to correct that, to correct a negative emotion. Similarly, here joy, the yellow flower petal, joy could be ecstasy, very high degree of joy, or serenity, feeling peaceful, right? So this is just to explain that learn to identify the exact emotion we are feeling. And as HR leaders, as HR professionals, we should be able to identify this in other people as well, in the teams that we deal with, you know, employees that we interact with. We should be able to understand where exactly is the person emotionally at this moment. And there are tools and there are things that you can do. We will be talking about some of them in the later slides. Okay. Now, what are the common emotions at workplace? Positive emotions at workplace that we commonly see across cultures are joy, energetic, feeling energetic, enthusiasm, and feeling comfortable. These are positive feelings. And among this, if you notice, joy is the one which is the primary and universally easily visible emotion, felt and seen. Rest of them, you have to make an effort. Sometimes you will have to make an effort to understand whether people are really energetic, enthusiastic, and comfortable in their workplace, or are they pretending? Similarly, negative emotions, anger, stress, frustration, fear, and feeling uncomfortable. These are common negative emotions at workplace, which can be identified. Now, again, here, the primary emotions which can be easily found out: anger, fear. These two can be easily, detected. However, to find out whether a person is stressful, frustrated, feeling uncomfortable, you have to dig a bit deeper. Now, in the graphs, we see on the left-hand side graph, the differences in negative emotions by position levels. There are two positions given here: individual contributors and managers. So what is the difference in negative emotions among these two position levels? Now, for individual contributors, they feel less stressed, less annoyed, however, more uncomfortable in their positions. Managers, on the other hand, feel more stressed, more annoyed, however, they feel less uncomfortable in their positions. And I'm sure you all know why that happens. Managerial position comes with greater responsibilities, and thus they are more stressed out, can be more annoyed, and however, they will feel they will feel less uncomfortable in their positions. Now, coming to this other graph, differences in positive emotions by position level. Here you can see individual contributors feel more comfortable, more energetic, and likewise. If we are talking about managers, here again, while they feel less uncomfortable, they also often feel less comfortable in their position. So managers have a kind of a dichotomy here. they feel less uncomfortable, but they also feel less comfortable here. However, they are more energetic and more enthusiastic. Is this graph clear? If anyone has a query, you can please note it down. We will sort it out towards the end when we are taking questions, or I can respond to you separately. Okay, I don't know why this isn't moving. Just give me a second.
No worries.
Okay, now we come to the next slide, which is relationship between emotions and employee engagement. Now, when we talk of work culture, it usually involves the cognitive part of the brain as well as the feeling part, the emotional part. Unfortunately, around the world, we have been so far only focusing on the cognitive culture and been neglecting the emotional culture of individuals and of the work environment as a whole, as a team. What is an emotional culture? The collective feeling of a team working towards their work, whatever work they are doing. What is their collective feeling? Okay, that's the emotional culture. And most of us around the world have been not focusing or have been not giving the due attention that is required to emotional culture at workplaces, but have been only focusing on the cognitive side, on the intellectual abilities, on the thinking capacity, but not the feeling part of it. So there's a big gap between thinking and feeling. What we need to do is that we need to give equal attention to emotions. As I mentioned and showed earlier, that every little action, from what you want to have for breakfast to whom do you want to vote, every action is guided by our emotions. And because that is so, it is extremely important that we focus on emotions. When we say that check your behavior, what we should be saying is check your thought and emotion. If your thought and emotions are sorted out, especially if your emotion is sorted out, automatically your behavior will be fine, or it will be positive. So I think Tanya will be explaining that in details in further slides. I will not talk about it here more. Let's go back to this slide again. Research has clearly shown that any kind of work, the commitment of an employee, his creativity, his or her creativity, problem-solving skill, decision-making, or quality of work all depends on the emotional culture in the workplace. So if your boss is coming to office every day with a sour face, he may or may not be in a happy state. And he may be in a happy state, but just to show that, he's at a commanding position, etc., he maintains a particular body language and facial expressions, and he comes to office every day with grim face, that will have a top-down effect, and everyone in the organization will be maintaining that body language and the facial expression. And consecutively, what will happen is the workplace will be a place of where you feel uncomfortable, where you feel suppressed. A suppressed environment is not a healthy environment. An emotionally suppressed environment will not lead to greater productivity or happier clients inside and outside both, right? So the red flags that you want to watch out for if you want to know how good or how emotional, what is the level of emotional health of the team or of your work culture, what you need to focus on is whether it is there is fear, there's anger, boredom, inexpressiveness, and passive behavior. These are all red flags. They are signs that it's an emotionally suppressed environment. If people in the work environment are not expressing themselves, they seem bored, there's a lot of breakouts, aggressiveness, anger, display of anger at work. And there are some employees you see, they are not meeting you in the eye when they are talking, or they are just completely avoiding talking with each other or with their bosses. These are red flags to show you that it's an emotionally suppressed environment, and you need to do something about it as HR professionals, as leaders, right? Here I also want to mention that culture has a huge impact on emotional display. The emotional culture will depend on the region's culture. So for example, in Western society, or for example, in US, people are more open to show anger and fear in a group scenario. They will openly talk about it. While in Asia, a Japanese man or person may or may not be so comfortable with showing his negative emotion openly. They will do it on a one-to-one basis. And that becomes a difficult situation if you're wanting to gauge the emotional health of the work of your workplace. And so HR professionals have to be very active and map out the patterns that are visible in the teams. Now, this is another activity. This is called a hot pen method, which all of you can actually use to gauge the emotional culture at your workplaces. So let's do this. It's a very simple activity again. What you have to do is this phrase I've written and I've left blank after when. I feel bad when dash dash dash. Now you all have your note, pen and pad. What I want you to do is, I'll time it. What you have to do is just start jotting down. I feel bad when my boss is angry with me, when my colleague is not talking to me, when I'm overburdened. I feel bad when whatever, dash, 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 dash. Keep writing for a minute once, and do not lift your pen. That is why it's called the hot pen method. You don't lift your pen, or you're not given the time or that period to think. You just keep writing, I feel bad when, and whatever comes to mind. Whenever you feel bad, just keep jotting it down. After 1 minute, I will request 5 volunteers to please again come up on stage and share when do you feel bad. Now this phrase can also be reversed with I feel happy and free when. I feel happy and free when I get a coffee break. I feel happy and free when it's a Saturday morning. I feel happy and free when I am recognized, etc. So, but we are not going to do that. At the moment, we are only focusing on the negative emotions and how to identify them. Please, so I have a timer here. You all, I hope you all have your notepad and your pens with you, and you can start jotting down. Okay, stop. Thank you. May I have 5 volunteers come up on stage and please share your thoughts one by one. Different ones, I hope, this time.
I'm so tempted to say, but I'll wait for the volunteers.
Yeah, you can go. You can be the 6th one. You can be the 6th one.
Yeah. Let's give a few more seconds.
Please come up on stage and share your thoughts. It's all right. I mean, we all feel bad sometime.
Yeah.
I feel bad when I am overloaded with work. That's what came to my mind. I mean, the first thought. So I start feeling anxious.
Yep. Sarlaksha Ganesh, I think.
Yes,
can...
Sarlakha, please. Sarlaksha, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correct. Please.
Right. So I feel bad and I have to go against my personal values for the scope.
Right.
So actually, that is something I feel bad. I feel bad when I'm when the proportion of the something that I'm reprimanded for is not in proportion with the mistake, right? It's a small, the punishment, and this happens a lot.
Right.
I mean, not with me. I feel bad more. Let me put it this: happens with me. I don't feel bad, but I feel terrible when it happens with others around me, right? And and I feel bad when, say, my colleague has gone through a bad day or something, and they are sharing, and I'm unable to do much, but at least I do feel I'm able to empathize with them, and I feel bad about it.
Okay, thank you very much, Salaksha. Good points there. Next, please. How many participants do we have? 48, right?
Yes.
Please come up. Please share your thoughts. When do you feel bad? At workplace, at your workplace, or even in home front scenario, that can also be taken in, no problem.
Hi again. This is Uma here. For me, when there's no mutual respect, when you present something and you're outrightly said no, and you're not given a chance to explain or speak, so that makes me very sad and upset.
Right.
So.
Anything else? Like I gave you a minute. So did you, Uma? Did you just write this point? Were there other points as well? If that is the case, please go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't write any other points.
Okay, no problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Hello.
Yes.
Sunita here. See, I feel bad when there are too much of instructions given by my boss regarding my work process, and when there is no freedom to give to take decision on our own, which is very effective. And even I feel bad when the enough time is not given for our recreation or leisure time. And even I feel bad when someone is misunderstood or not understood what I done enough. Those things, yeah.
Thank you very much. Very pertinent.
Valid.
Thank you so much.
Yes, please. Anyone else? We've got 3 so far. I need 2 more.
One can be Kamal, isn't it?
Kamal, of course, is going to be the 6th one.
I'm the 6th one.
Achha, you're the 6th one. Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Please share your thoughts. If you don't, then how do we know, where you are? Or I mean, we are all in the same boat.
I've already spoken, but I can take it again.
Right.
I think I feel dejected or let down, or sometimes even almost angry when I lose a deal, and I feel like what went wrong. So I feel kind of a sense of frustration or almost helplessness.
Yeah, right. That's an important word you gave out there, Lakshmi. Thank you so much. Helplessness, feeling of helplessness. And we will be discussing these different emotions, especially the negative ones, how they are entangled with each other. And while at top you may see one emotion, at the bottom it could be another emotion that needs to be addressed, and not the top one. So thank you very much for that.
And we have on the chat, Naveen is mentioning. Naveen, would you like to say, or shall I read it out? Naveen D.
Naveen, please come up and share. Kamal will get her chance. Naveen, please come up on stage and share your thoughts. We'd be very happy to hear you.
Yeah, hi team. I would like to inform that if you work in a multiple works, nobody recognizes some short-term procrastination. It's very bad on women.
Your voice is not very clear. Could you please repeat that?
Yeah, actually, here the network is very low. That's why I'm unable to talk to you.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I can read out if you want, Naveen.
Yeah,
But
please.
what
Please
Naveen
go
is
ahead.
saying is that if we work multiple, on multiple work, but nobody recognize it. So I think recognition is what he's talking about. And then it's a temper management as well, what he has written in the chat. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Naveen. Again, relevant points. Anybody else wants to give it a go? We have 5. Otherwise, Kamal will take over.
Yeah, one more point I would like to say.
Yes.
We feel bad working under time pressures sometimes.
Yeah. Who is this, please? Could you please introduce yourself once again?
This is Salil Sharma.
Salil. Okay, Salil. Right. Right. Kamal.
Great. Yeah. So see,
Hi, Aarti here.
yeah. Yes, Aarti, please go ahead.
Yeah, I
Just
would
love
like
to
to
hear you.
put my point. Yeah, hi. So I feel bad when even after multiple hard work and the tasks that have been given, when you work hard for your boss or whatever the task has been given, when there is no appreciation, okay,
Yeah.
there I feel bad.
Right, of
Okay.
course.
Being a man as a boss, and if a man handling a woman as a teammate, he should be respective enough. And I have seen at many multiple organization where the boss really, a man boss really respects a woman, but in my place it's not at all like that.
Right. So
There where I really
gender
feel
sensitization is an issue. That's a big issue at lot of places, lot of
yes,
workplaces.
yes. So even if it is on email, even if it is on call, I really feel bad, and I really hope you can understand.
Yeah, yeah, we understand. Thank you very much for that share.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great.
Kamal,
Anyone else? Yeah. So again, really, I mean, I feel that it really depends on what makes you happy or sad, depends on your role as well. So for example, when I'm into implementation, so my job is to suggest, right? I mean, what are the best practices, what are things which we need to improve and all. I feel bad when there are silences, when there's something, when I come up with some suggestion, not that all suggestions are good, some suggestions are maybe they're not that fruitful as well, but when there is no response, right, to anything, when you're suggesting something or even giving a feedback, but there is no response, so silences kills me. And then it makes me think for a couple of days, that keep carry on, that, oh, what happened, what did I say, why there's so much of silence. So for me, silence is a killer. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Thank you again. A good share. Wonderful. So all of you have actually given out a lot of good points here. Again, I've been jotting down. Some of them personal, against my personal values, when things go against my personal values. Not in punishment is not in proportion to what the work that has gone wrong. Sometimes it can be quite high or low, or whatever. It's not in balance. So similarly, lot of other, no mutual respect. Very good point there. No freedom to take decisions. So you see, this method is so, it's a very simple method, but it is giving out to HR professionals. This is a tool, handy tool you can use anytime to understand emotional culture of your place, whether it is healthy, where is the team standing, where is the individual standing. You can do it on a monthly basis, on depending on you how you want to do it, but it's a very effective tool to give out it. Just focus on the words. The words are giving out how what kind of situation that person is in and how they are fighting. Maybe this may not have come out otherwise through talks, but it came out through this exercise, right? And similarly, you can find out when they feel happy and free. I feel happy and free when, again, give a minute and do the same exercise. So this is what I wanted to achieve from from doing this activity. This is a tool that you can effectively use time and again. Okay, now I will invite Tanya to take this forward from here.
Hi everyone, a very warm welcome and good morning to all of you once again. I'm really happy to be invited on such a fantastic platform, and thank you, Sujata. I'll take it forward from here. I am a counseling psychologist, and I do workshops as well as one-to-one counseling. So we will talk about, today's topic is emotion in workplace, and emotion, we will focus on how emotions work, but emotion is not the only thing that is working. There is thought, there is emotion, and there is behavior. TEB cycle, you can see this screen. It's written the TEB cycle. T stands for thought, E stands for emotion, and B stands for behavior. Now, thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, these three components are interlinked intertwined, they are entangled with each other. And if you can see a triangle, they are the three corners of a triangle: thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, and each of them impacts the other. We often we often think that okay, I am feeling this way, but probably that is a thought, or vice versa. I am thinking this way, but probably that is a feeling. So many a times we say that I am not feeling good. Very common statement that we use, saying that I am not feeling good. Now, what does this mean? I am not feeling good physiologically. I am not feeling good emotionally, psychologically. What is that? So one needs to be very specific about what exactly the feeling is or the thought is. So thought, emotion, and behavior. Thoughts are what we are thinking. Emotions are what we are feeling, and behavior is what we are doing. These three are all the time interlinked with each other. We consciously don't determine whether it's a thought or a feeling or a behavior. But if we take a good look at it, we will see that they are all different components in the mind, in the brain. And we have to be very, very careful about whether it's a thought or an emotion and how it is manifesting into a behavior. If it's a negative thought, it will give rise to a negative emotion, and it will definitely be a unwanted behavior. But if it's a positive thought, then it will definitely give rise to a positive emotion, and the behavior will be something which is acceptable. So one needs to be very, very careful and very vigilant about the thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, these three components in the head. Sujata, can we have the next slide? Yeah. Okay, so we have some examples pertaining to thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. I will take the first example. I cannot rely on my partner. This is a thought. What is the emotion? Feeling unsupported, angry, lonely, sad. And what is the behavior? Turning away help offered by the partner. Now, the point here is that I cannot rely on my partner could be a generalized statement. It could be a generalization. We will see later how these thought errors work in our head. Now, this could be a very generalized statement. My partner could have turned down help once or twice, but I am overgeneralizing and I am giving an umbrella effect on it and saying that my partner never helps me. And in the process, what I am doing is I'm feeling angry, lonely, sad, unsupported, and all kinds of other negative emotions. And what am I doing behavior wise? I'm turning away the help offered by the partner, but the partner may be in a very good mood to help me, but I am turning away the help because I have formed a specific automatic thought. This thought is not just an isolated thought. A thought, when an automatic negative thought comes to the head, it is always impacted by our prejudices, biases, beliefs. So my belief is, I formed a belief that my partner doesn't help me. This is a belief that I've formed. And that is the reason why every time my partner is extending help, I am getting an impression that my partner is not helpful. So this is an example of how thoughts, emotions, and behavior work. Similarly, we will take another example. I cannot stay so late at the office. This is a very common problem in the corporate scenario. People have to report sharp at 9, but there is no end time. It could be 11, it could be 10, 9, whatever. And in India, this culture is very prevalent. Indian corporate houses, they don't give a end time, but they give a start time. So the end time depends on the boss's mood, the kind of work pressure that one has. Even these days, people who are working from home, they're working 24/7. I'm told that, they don't have any break. All the time they're getting calls, and they have to be on their laptop most of the times, even at the middle of the night. So what kind of emotion does it evoke? It gives a feeling of guilt. Why does it give a feeling of guilt? It is because the family is getting neglected. The person is not being able to give quality time to the family, and family is getting neglected. So there is a feeling of guilt. Then there is irritability, frustration, all kinds of other negative emotions. Now, what will be the behavior here? The guy may try to pass the buck to the other colleagues, may try to, just say that guy, come on, bro, please do this work for me, and try to pass the buck. He may try to please or bribe the kids back at home, or husband or wife back at home. Or there could be another kind of defense mechanism that may work in this case. He's so frustrated, he's so overburdened that he comes home and throws some tantrums on people who are weaker, like probably on the kids, or he may just kick his dog. So that's a defense mechanism that may be at play here. So that can also be one more kind of a behavior that one can see. So these are the two kinds of behavior. Either one would pass the buck, try to please the family members, or would throw tantrums coming back home from work because he feels overburdened because of a long stay every day in the office. So these are two examples. Anyone want to come up with one or two more examples like this, where thoughts, emotions, and behaviors are in an interplay? Anybody who would like to state some example?
I would like to give one scenario. I have been thinking about it, Tanya.
Yeah.
So it's more of from the work culture point of view.
Yeah.
So for when we are working right in a tight timelines, right, a lot of time we don't have, there are some scenarios we don't have a control on. Right. Because these are like external factors, so it's everything is not in our hands. So these are external factors. So when it happens, right, like for example, when I'm working on a project setup, I'm setting up a program for a client, there are some external factors which I don't have control. And when it triggers, it happens, of course, I feel frustrated, one, right? Yes, because I have I can't do any mitigation for that.
Yes.
But then my behavior is like, then we become defensive. Right.
Yes.
Instead of telling the client the truth that, hey, this is what it is. This is something which is no control over, or maybe we did not put enough contingencies for that.
Yeah.
We become sometimes very defensive and start to put that on somebody else's head that, oh no, it became because of the delay in the project was because of something. So this is a kind of very typical scenario in the project-based environment that I feel that happens. Yeah.
Very right. Very right. And there are certain situations where you actually don't have a control.
Yes.
Like you mentioned right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to stay back late because there's no choice. You have to finish
sometimes
within a stipulated deadline. And then what do? Then so what you can do here is that you can probably try to do a better time management, a better task management, maybe delegate some of the tasks to your colleagues, and probably try to minimize your time stay in the office. Probably, I'm just giving some hypothetical scenarios. So yes,
Tanya, I just had another point that to add on to what Kamal said, and I think it's very relevant to all of us. I think at times also our thoughts and our behaviors are already stacked based in our minds. They're stacked up in our minds that this is what's going to happen. So a lot of our reactions are also based on the past experiences or what's already stacked. So we react in certain ways to situations, or we feel, we have a sense of fear, doubt, anger, frustration based on past stacked experiences. So sometimes, like what you said, it's better to pre-plan and, remove those thoughts and start fresh. I don't know if I'm making sense there.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Very, very, very important that if you have some pre-notions about staying for this particular example, staying late in the office and then feeling frustrated, and this has been a common scenario, and it is already stacked in your head that, oh, it's always going to be like this, then you try to change your perspective and think in a different way. You see the importance or the need of the hour, and accordingly work. Do a better time management, do better task management, try to reduce the time and not feel frustrated, and probably back at home, you can tell your people, your family members that, I'm a little overburdened these days, a little overstressed. So I'm really sorry that I'm not being able to spend quality time with you all, but it'll not be lasting for a long time, and it'll get over, and then soon I'll be back with you guys again. So there are different kinds of scenarios for different people. Not everyone has the same kind of scenario, but generally speaking, this example has been taken to show how thoughts, emotions, and behaviors are in interplay, and how they impact each other. That is the primary purpose of showing these two examples. Sujata,
Right.
Sujata.
I just wanted to add to that, Kamal, you brought up that point of, feeling frustrated when a project is not going well, and, it's the client's issue, but you have to kind of deflect it and pass it on to someone, internally at times, that happens. So one thing we need to understand here is situations may or may not be in our control. Always, almost always situations may or may not be under our control. What is in our control is our thoughts and our emotions. So we have to learn to cope, reduce the intensity of our emotions by focusing on our thoughts and that is what the exercise that we'll do after this, how to have an alternate thought that will reduce the emotional intensity, the negative feeling or the frustration, irritation that you're feeling. It will reduce. It will not go away totally, but it will reduce. And so the behavior the other person will see, and you yourself will be able to, identify or understand, is that you will feel slightly better than what you were feeling earlier when you had totally negative thought. Situation not in your control, but there is a thought, automatic thought, which is a negative one, totally impacting your emotion negatively and resulting in a negative behavior. But when you restructure that thought, when you have an alternate thought, all this will change. And that is the activity that we will be doing, I think, after this one. Shall I move on, Tanya?
Yeah, please do. Please do.
Perfectly makes sense. Yeah. Thank you, Sujata.
Yeah. Thank you. So I think everyone must have taken printouts of the thought record sheet. Thank you so much, Isaprilina. Thank you so much. In the thought record sheet, you are supposed to record first, the situation is the same, that I am made to stay late in the office. This is the situation. And you will have to write, this is, Sujata is displaying the thought record sheet. Sujata, can you lift it a little up towards up? Yeah.
And we have it on the chat as well. If you have not downloaded it, but we have sent you by email, but you can download it right now from your chat group. It's a very simple word format.
It's a simple word format, right? And so the situation is that I am made to stay late in the office. Now you will have to record what kind of thought it evokes, this situation, what kind of feeling it creates in the process, and what kind of behavior or action you take in that course of action, in that process. And then we will restructure the thought and see how we can think of an alternate thought. Just like a couple of minutes back, Sujata was mentioning that we can minimize the intensity of the negative thought and negative emotion. So how we can minimize the intensity, we will see after doing the exercise. So I'll give you a minute or two. So in that time, you quickly jot down the thoughts, the emotions, and the behavior for this particular situation.
You're late at work. So late working hours.
You're late at work. Yeah.
Kamal, perhaps you can do the one that you were talking about. Instead of late
Yep.
working hours, you can.
Yeah,
take
yeah.
the
Absolutely. I'm actually doing that, you know, and we all have our own scenarios, you know.
Yes,
So,
yes.
and for us, for example, for my role, we don't need, it's not time bound. So I
Yeah.
have different kind of scenarios. So please feel
Exactly.
free, everyone.
Yeah.
Based on whatever scenarios you have, it was just an example. So
Yeah,
just
It was,
use that.
it's just, yeah, for whatever your scenarios are, individual scenarios are. Sujata, please keep a tab on the time.
Right. Okay, if you guys are done, then
Yeah, I think it's time. So I will request again 5 volunteers to come up on stage and share their thoughts, emotions, behavior, what they've written on the sheet. And then we will see how we can restructure those thoughts. We will discuss. I want your point of view, your opinion on how you can have an alternate thought to the given negative thought that you have written. Yes, so volunteers, please come up on stage.
Yeah, ma'am, my name is Amit Bhatt.
Yes, Amit.
So I have a one thought. See, this is related to, I'm starting with the background of this. So in the morning, we have decided to come in a plant, we have written down the 5 things we need to complete it. And we have quoted down all the 5 things and everything in our paper. Okay. Now, once we reach to the office, suddenly we have seen in our mailbox that there is a 5 meeting is arranged by our senior, and which we need to attend at any point of at anyhow. And because of that, that meetings and all this part, so in our regular time, we cannot complete the task which we want to complete. Okay, and we have to work there for a late time. Now, it can late hours can 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours to complete the task. It can take more time. So because of that, again, that frustration is started due to that. Number one, we feel angry that we have decided to do such thing, but we cannot able to that thing in time because we have a unplanned meeting which we have to attend. Okay, and due to that, once we reach to the home, we have so much frustration and angers come in our mind, and sometimes it may be happen that we can scold our child, call with our wife, and it's something like that. It's supposed to be fun. So this is what the situation in a current scenario. Once the corona situation has started, it increases a lot.
Yeah.
So how we have to restructure this kind of thing? This is what my from my side.
Yeah. So Amit, I think your situation is something which is given, and you can't do much about it. But
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
Sujata mentioned earlier is that what you can do is you can have a more positive outlook. That is a positive thought, and then your emotion will automatically be changed. Once you have a positive outlook and you think that this is necessary, I can't do much about it because I am not the only one. There are other people who are also in the same scenario. So when other people are also in the same scenario, so I am not the only one who's suffering. Now, what I can do best is I can contribute fast. I can contribute by using my skills as soon as fast as possible, so that the job in hand is finished, and then we can all go back home. And instead of having frustration, you can be more positive, in the sense that you can think that this is something which is unavoidable. Something which is unavoidable. See, there are two kinds of scenarios, situations in our life. Something which is avoidable, and something which is unavoidable. Something which is unavoidable, if there's no point in breaking your head on it. So what is the best thing to do is to move on with it, quickly do the work, and go back home without the frustration, without carrying the frustration in your head. So that's the only thing that you can do here in this situation, because you cannot say no to your boss. You cannot say no to the task, to the particular task that has been allocated to you. So what you can do is probably you can just move on with the task, quickly do the task, be as productive as possible, and help your colleagues also, so that the task is finished fast, so that you can go home early. Okay, Amit?
Amit, another thing that I would like to add here is
okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Amit, this is also for you. I would like to add to that point is that you mentioned anger. Now, anger is very obvious. Very natural. You will feel frustrated and angry when you are presented with such a scenario. How to work through that anger is something that we will take up in further slides.
Yes.
Your anger, you cannot, emotions you have to feel, you have to go through. I mentioned the meaning of the word emotion. You act through it, you move through it. So they are feelings, don't have any rationality attached to it. They are just feelings. Emotions are just feelings. How to handle them, how to manage them is something that we will be talking about in later slides. However, what Tanya mentioned, just do the best possible that you can do in that scenario. So you have to tell yourself, you have to come out of your head or whatever situation that you are in or you're feeling, come out of it and tell yourself, guide yourself, listen, there is nothing I can do about it. Might as well just do my task as much as I can, to the best of my capabilities, my abilities, and then go back home feeling slightly better that if not the complete task, I have managed to do half of it or some of it, despite there was an interruption, despite the fact that there was this uncalled meeting or whatever, I have been able to, so, give yourself a pat on the back that I have still managed to do something. So I have done, there's nothing, from my side, I did not do anything wrong. In fact, I have come out much better. I have been able to do something about it. And as far as anger is concerned or frustration is concerned, how do you manage it? How do you come out of it or reduce the intensity is something that we'll see in the future slides, in the further slides, as we move on.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anybody else who would like to share?
It is important to restructure your thoughts. When a negative automatic
It is very important, because just as Sujata mentioned right now, that if there is anger, then this is harming you. Any negative emotion is harming your mental state. It is giving you the frustration, the anger, these negative emotions, they harm you. They give you a very bad state of mind. They may increase your level of stress hormones. They may increase your level of anxiety. They may end up in depression, in later time, going ahead. If you are keeping your anger inside, if you are keeping your frustration inside for a longer time. So it is very important to dissipate the anger, release the frustration, and let it go and do the best in any given scenario, as the best that you can do using your productivity. If we don't have any other volunteers, then can we move on to the next slide, Sujata?
Many times what I
Yeah.
felt when
Yes.
I take a decision when I am angry,
Yeah.
that decision will end up with the frustration, everything, because that decision, I think that is not a suitable decision which I'm taking.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I felt that when I'm angry, when I'm frustrated, if I take a decision, that will be a flop decision always.
Okay.
Of course.
Okay. Okay. So when you are taking a decision, that's a thought. When you're taking a decision, that's a negative. I mean, if it is inducing anger, then it is not a right thought. It is a wrong thought. It's a negative thought, and it is inducing anger and frustration. These are the two kinds of emotions, negative emotions, that are getting induced in the process. And what is the action that you would take in that scenario, Sunita?
I feel like I should take a 5 minutes break.
Okay, you will.
Yeah.
You want to take a 5 minutes break? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that. See, if you
I
take
relax
5
myself, then
Yeah.
I have to overthink. I feel I have to think again.
Yeah.
What is the right or wrong? Then I have to go ahead.
Right. So you have to rethink. You have
Yeah.
to rethink and reevaluate your scenario.
Yes,
your
I think that is the
situation.
best idea for me. Yeah, now I'm
Best
thinking
idea.
that.
Yeah, exactly. Take 5 minutes break, rethink, and then restructure the thought, and then you move on with a more positive outlook towards this whole scenario. Yeah.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Shall I move on then?
Yeah, please. Okay, so now we have been talking about thoughts, right? Now there are various kinds of, in psychology we call it cognitive distortion. There are various kinds of common thinking traps, right, that we use. And these thinking traps may actually create, like Sunita has stated a couple of minutes back, that a decision which is not a right decision invokes anger. So any thought which is loaded with any of these common traps, cognitive errors, will definitely end up having some negative emotions and negative actions. So let's take one by one. What is the first one? All or nothing thinking. Sometimes we see things as being black or white. It is a very common thought error. I think many of us would commit it many a times in a day, that we would either see a scenario as good or we would see a scenario as bad, but there are shades in between, which we often tend to overlook. Everything is not either absolutely perfect or absolutely bad. You know, there are different shades of it, but we tend to overlook the different perspectives of a situation. We always, we are biased. Most of the times we are biased. And what we do is in using these biases and prejudices in our brain, we tend to think that, oh, this is a very bad situation. I don't like it. I hate it. I am being victimized. All kinds of negative thoughts are there. Or if the situation is very good, then we are very happy about it and we think that, oh, this is the best situation. So, but it is not always either best or worst. There are some shades in between, which we need to always remember and see the different perspectives, being unbiased. Bias is something which one has to absolutely remove as much as possible. The next one is overgeneralizing. It's easy to take one particular event and generalize it to the rest of our life. This is something that I have mentioned a little earlier in the TEB cycle, that we may tend to generalize. Yeah, suppose my boss has been rude to me on a particular day because of some reason, maybe because of my mistake, or maybe because he was stressed. And I generalize it to the level, to the point that my boss will always be rude to me. So this is something that many a time happens. Or my colleague has not extended help when I have asked for the help once because he was busy. So I tend to generalize that, oh, I can never ask help from him. He will always turn me down. So this is a generalization that we often do, overgeneralization, and this hampers our thought process. This may give rise to negative emotions, emotions like frustration, hopelessness, helplessness, irritation, anger. Okay. Now the third one is filtering out the positive. We filter out the good and zoom in on the bad. This is again a very common cognitive distortion, thinking error. We often, overlook the good points in the organization. In my tenure of the years that I have worked, I have seen that there has been many good points, many good things my organization has offered to me. But whenever there is something which is not to my liking, I immediately zoom in on the bad, and then I think that, oh, it's a pathetic organization to work, I need to change ASAP. So it is very important to also balance out the goods and the bads. It's not always bad, there are good points also. And if you want to just think that everything is bad here, you are going to jump from frying pan to fire, because in the other organization also you are going to only filter in the negative, filter out the positive and filter in the negative. So that is what you're going to do. So the best thing is to always try to find out what has been good in this organization, what has been effective, beneficial for me in the organization. And then you will not tend to commit this cognitive error. Am I clear, everybody? Is there any question pertaining to these three? Okay, I move on to the next then, mind reading. Assuming we know what's going on in someone else's mind. This is again very common. Most of the times, even at home, in the office, in any other scenario, we tend to do this. What we do is we tend to think that I know what the other person is thinking. I know my boss is being rude to me, which means I know that he doesn't like me. So I know that. I can read his mind. Probably that is not the scenario. He's being rude to me because probably he's stressed out. There is deadlines and we have not been able to meet the deadline. But what I am thinking here is that I am reading his mind and I'm thinking that, oh, he's rude to me because he dislikes me. He hates me. He doesn't like me. So I am trying to tend to mind read the person. So this is a very common cognitive error and we should avoid as much as possible. Try to be objective, not be subjective in our views and opinions. Try to be objective and try to see why a person is behaving in a certain way in a certain scenario. Why particularly in a certain scenario, a person is behaving in a certain way. There, we should try to slip into his shoes and try to see his point of view, because everyone is seeing things from his own degree of perspective. So if it's a 360 degree, everyone is in 1 degree. So one is in 360, one is in 359, one is in 358, and everyone is seeing the perspective from a different point of view. But if I try to be more objective and if I try to see the other person's point of view, then I will not tend to mind read. I move on to the next one, which is catastrophizing. Now, sometimes we think that things are much worse than they actually are, basically making a mountain out of a molehill. And this also we do many a times in the organization, like for instance, staying late in the office. If I take the same example again. So if I am made to stay late in the office for many days, then I will catastrophize and think that that's the worst that has happened to me. But I am overlooking the fact that many other colleagues are also staying till late because the project needs to be finished. There's a deadline given by the client, and that is why we are staying late. But I am catastrophizing and I am thinking that, oh, it's the worst thing that has happened to me only, not to anyone else, but it has happened to me only, the worst thing. Okay, so I am catastrophizing in this scenario, and I should always avoid this. I should remain neutral in my opinions and views. The last one is emotional reasoning, and here I always say that I think this way, so it is true. I think this way, so it is true. Our emotions aren't always based on reality, but we often assume those feelings are rational. Our emotions are not always based on reality. I may think this way. I may think about my boss, or I may think about my colleague in a certain way. And I may think that my thoughts are rational, my feelings are justified, but they may not be true. Actually, the scenario is something else. But I am trying to judge everything through my reasoning, through my emotional reasoning, because I am using emotion here. I am using my negative emotion here, and that is why my reasoning is not a correct reasoning. I am unjustified, but I am using it because I am frustrated and irritated and angry, maybe because of a certain scenario in the organization. So we should avoid emotional reasoning. We should always try to have a more rational, more logical perspective towards a certain situation, and then try to evaluate the situation in a certain way. Sujata, can we move to the next slide? Okay. So now, what are the coping strategies? We have been discussing about, excuse me, I'll just.
Okay, I also take that, this little break to let you know, Tanya,
yeah,
we have crossed the time. So
we have crossed the time.
Yeah, we have to hurry up a bit.
Yeah, we have to hurry up. Okay, fine. So I'll quickly go through this slide. It's not a very big, lot of content is not there on this slide. So what is the positive coping strategy to manage emotion? And this is for a particular cell. First, we need to identify the negative emotion and thought. Very important to first identify what is the negative emotion or negative thought. Then dig out the source. What is the source? So suppose I'm angry, but anger is only the manifestation. It's on the surface. But what is there deep within? Maybe there is hopelessness, helplessness, and that is inducing the anger. So we must dig out the source and see what is there deep inside us. And once we see that, try to find out what is there deep inside us, we will immediately, the anger will dissipate. The anger will diffuse, because it is important to diffuse the anger. Anger is only just like fever. Fever is a manifestation of some other disease. Anger is a manifestation of some other very deep rooted emotion, which is there probably from our childhood. Probably, we are bearing it from our childhood or from our adolescence. So we need to be very vigilant about digging out what is at the source. Now, how do we manage it? We can manage it by journaling, like expressive writing. Like I can just write down it every day after coming back home at night. Before going to bed, I can journal. I can write down my day's experiences, my negative experiences as well as my positive experiences. And whatever I have written, suppose I have written that my colleague was very rude to me today. I have written this. Next day or couple of days later, when I read it again, I will see that anger has gone. It has gone, because then probably I can rationalize, as I said in the previous slide, that I should be having a more rational perspective. So maybe I can rationalize, and maybe I can see a different perspective of this certain scenario of my colleague being rude to me. So journaling is very important. Talk to a confidant. This helps in 3 ways. One is that you are having clarity of thoughts. Second is the intensity of the emotion is going down. And third is that the confidant may give you some good solutions to your problem. So very important to have a confidant, whether in your organization or at home or in your friend circle. Talk to a confidant and clarify things, talk and understand what is the other perspective that the confidant can share with you. Maybe he can show you a different scenario of what you have been thinking, what you have been assuming. So what we oftentimes we work on assumptions. We are assuming things. We are mind reading. We are generalizing. We are assuming. So many a times it happens that when I'm talking to a confidant, he or she is clarifying the thing to me in a better way. And then finally you evaluate and take action. So basically you evaluate the situation, you revisit if it is necessary, the thought and the emotion, you revisit, you restructure, like in the sheet. You can use this sheet that we use today. You can use this sheet for on a regular basis, the worksheet, and you can just write down whatever the thought was, whatever the emotion was, and then take necessary action to change restructure your thought and your emotion. Next slide, please.
Okay, just a little addition here.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention that, we have to understand this very clearly, that thoughts and emotions are intermingled, they are enmeshed together, and you have to detangle that. So you have to know what is a thought. I think fear. You never think fear, you feel fear. So as soon as you know that I'm feeling, it's the emotion that is working. And what you're thinking has to be backed by evidence. Thoughts are always to be backed by evidence. If you have no evidence for the thought, please discard that thought. So if your negative thought will go automatically if you are not able to back it with evidence. Emotions are something that come and go. They will not stay. Today you are angry at this moment. After half an hour, 1 hour, that emotion dissipates. It's taken over by another emotion, right? Or it goes away. So emotions come and go. Thoughts, if they are correct thoughts, you have to have evidence to back that thought, and then you take evaluation or you take action on that thought. If the thought is correct that I am feeling, I am angry, or I think my boss does not like me. So if you're thinking your boss does not like you, please back it with evidence. And then if it's a correct thought, then have a one-to-one with your boss at, not out of office situation, or in a good time when he's in a good frame of mind, but bring it out, take it out of the system. This is what I wanted to just clarify, that please be sure that thoughts and emotions are detangled first, and you have identified that one is an emotion and the other one is a thought. If it's a thought, back it with evidence. If it is an emotion, just feel it, write about it, talk to someone, and then accordingly the emotion will go away after some time. But the thought has to be taken action. If it's something that is bothering you, it has to be taken action, but only after you have evaluated it, you have backed it with evidence. Okay, moving on.
Yeah. So now positing coping strategies for employer to manage emotions of the employees. What the employer can actually do to help the employees have a more positive mindset. That is what we are going to discuss on this slide. So the first point is let them express. Letting employees vent out their feelings are important to recognize and understand the issue and the emotion at work. Very, very crucial to let the employee vent out. If you see that from the body language of the employee that he's not comfortable, ask the person overtly, clearly question the person why he's not feeling good, and let the person vent out his emotions. And then only, I think, once you have allowed the person to vent out the emotion, the person will be able to be more productive in his work. Now, make them feel heard. Whenever the person is talking about the problem, suppose the colleague, the employee has been asked about the problem and the employee has stated the problem. So restate the problem, reiterate the problem or the concern without making them feel judged. Being non-judgmental, reiterate the problem to him. If I have heard you correctly, is this the problem? So once you're reiterating, the person is feeling wanted, needed, feeling important. Call them by their first name because during the discussion, because this gives a personalized touch. So when you're calling them by their first name, it gives a personalized touch, and the person feels comfortable and feels that he is needed, he's wanted in the organization. Recognize the negative emotion. Address the negative emotion first before trying to find a solution to the work problem. What is the negative emotion? First, understand the negative emotion. If the emotion is negative, talk it out. Clarify things with your employee and tell him or her why this is how this can be changed, why he is having this negative emotion, he or she is having this negative emotion, and how this can be changed. So talk with the person, try to find a solution to the work problem. Whatever the work problem is, together you be in tandem with your employee and try to find a solution to the work problem by understanding what kind of negative emotion it is invoking in the person. Because there is a problem in the work scenario. If there is a problem in the work scenario, then there is a tendency of having some negative emotions, and that may impact the output of the work, the overall output of the work. So it is important to first allow the negative emotion to go by talking, understanding, recognizing the person's negative emotion. Respond. Response is something which is a positive act, and reaction is something which is a negative act. So ask questions, clarify points, and avoid reacting. Very, very, very crucial, very important. Oftentimes it happens that the employer is jittery, probably little stressed out, or the bosses are a little stressed out because there is pressure from the above. And that is why they are not responding properly. They are reacting. They're shouting, screaming, they're saying bad words, foul mouths, all kinds of things. So this should be absolutely avoided. Questions should be asked. Proper response should be given to the employee, and the employee should be made comfortable. Then only there will be productivity and good work output expected from the employee. Being respectful, attack the problem, choose words carefully. Very important is to attack the problem, maybe invite the employee in a neutral scenario, in a neutral place, and then attack discuss about the problem, not the person. Don't attack the person, but attack the problem. What is the problem? Choose words carefully, speak a little softly, discuss about the problem and understand what the problem is, and then thrash things out, have a brainstorm and thrash things out so that the problem is resolved and peace is restored within the organization.
Okay. So takeaways.
Yeah, Sujata, can you do the takeaways, please?
Yeah, I can. So quickly, thoughts and emotions are often tightly interlaced. As I mentioned just a while back, they are enmeshed, they are entangled with each other. What is important is for us to detangle the thoughts from emotions. As leaders also, HR professionals, you should be able to, when you're looking at your team or the employees at the workplaces, you should be able to identify whether it's the emotion that is triggering the action or is it the thought. So first and foremost, detangle thoughts from emotions. And while emotions, people will have to just go through it and wait for it to go down by following the methods that we have said, talk to someone, write it down somewhere, etc. Use those tools. But the thoughts have to be backed by evidence. Look for evidences. If you have enough evidence, then evaluate and take action on those thoughts, right? To replace and correct the dysfunctional thoughts by replacing it with an alternative positive thought. This we have already done in thought record sheet, that you write the automatic thought first. A situation you cannot change. Situation could be anything, but you can control your thoughts, emotions, and your behavior by restructuring the thought. The automatic immediate thought, when it comes, stop there, do not react then. Just detangle thought and emotion, then focus on the thoughts, ask questions. Why is this like this? Why am I feeling like this? What can I do to better it, etc. Come up with an alternate thought and then see how it goes, right? And then employees often give themselves away through their facial expressions, body language, and words. I've given you a tool of hot pen method earlier. where you can use to which you can use from time to time to identify, understand the emotional culture, whether it is healthy, unhealthy, whichever level it is in, and you can actually use it to design certain schemes, certain programs to have a work culture which is much more happier, much more relaxed, much more comfortable. Please ensure that when you're meeting, greeting each other, the facial expressions matter a lot, body language matter a lot. Inculcate that habit of wishing each other, greeting each other, from time to time or every day in the morning when you walk in, and stopping by some people and having a word, a dialogue with employees, etc. These little things, these are very small little things. We know that, and we sometimes do it also, but at times when the stress is very high, when we are working on a very stressful project, we tend to neglect it. We are so consumed by that project or by whatever we are doing that needs to be finished, that we overlook these things. But these things matter. A comfortable environment will definitely lead to higher productivity and happier clients inside, outside, both. Use positive coping strategies that we have discussed earlier. And that brings us to the end of the session. We have crossed, we are 20 minutes over time. What do you want us to do, Kamal? Do you want me to take few of the questions that you sent us? There were 25 questions. I don't think so we'll be able to take all of them. We have covered a lot of it.
We have, yeah. Or you can email them if you're okay with it, because I think those might not be on the call, because I saw some of them have dropped off because of the time constraint or whatever. So, but we can always come back to you.
Email is a better idea. Email is a better idea. Yeah.
Yeah. So we can send them an email and we can reply to that. And thanks everyone for giving us those questions in advance. And like you said, lot has been covered during our sessions, but we can definitely reach out to you and reply to you and try to address those as well.
Yes.
So anyone has any questions or any parting thoughts, please, you can speak and you can come forward.
Hi, can I share
Hi,
something?
Yes,
sure, Esther, please go ahead.
So I was listening intently to the pretty much everything, and I thought it was really, really valuable. Even though I do not typically come from, and I don't work in a typical office environment, so some of it was not entirely relevant. But then, as you said, any business is a human business, right? Right in the beginning, what you said.
Right.
So I also wanted to share something, because I come from the background of coaching, but so what I usually focus on is also a person's own self-image. I think that's really important as well. No matter whether no matter which environment you're in, it's the kind of like the value that you place upon yourself. And also your own level of, I think, self-esteem is very important. Absolutely. Because it makes a huge difference in how we relate to people, whether it's like our boss or employees. So I think it's a basic like respect that you have for yourself at the same time, because we're less likely to respond in anger or irritation if we understand our own level of, where we're coming from. We understand the value that we can offer to somebody else or to our office environment.
Right. Very right. Very true.
Absolutely, Esther.
Absolutely.
And thanks for sharing. And you rightly said that this is not only about in a typical work environment or an office environment, but it can be anything. When we are going out as even as a freelancer or doing our own consulting or doing anything, we still meet various people and various emotions, various situations. So thanks so much, Esther, for sharing that.
Yes, it was my pleasure. Thank you all.
Thank you so
guys.
much.
It was really nice.
Makes more sense. Yeah.
And
Anyone else?
I just also wanted to add on. I think this is a fantastic session. I think you moderators and it was a well planned out session, specifically I think during times like COVID, where everything is online, and it's a lot harder to deal with your emotions or reciprocate or even understand how the other person opposite you feels or what they expect out of you, because it's harder to read body language on in a virtual situation. So I think a lot of this content was very relevant. Really appreciate the time for you all to take this on a Saturday afternoon and share your thoughts and guidance on this call today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Likewise. I think thanks to everyone for giving the precious time on the weekend. So and sharing all your thoughts. I think it was quite a mutual session. So really appreciate everyone on this call. Great.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thanks ton to Sujata and Tanya. Really, I mean, it was great hearing out from the experts. And to the participants, please feel free to reach out to us or any one of us on this forum if you have more questions, if you want to understand a little bit more. I understand that sometimes we can't bring out everything on a bigger forum, but if you have something to pinpoint, right, and if you want some kind of understanding or some advices or some information, always our platform is there to for sharing the knowledge with each other. So please feel free to reach out to Core HRIR and we can always link you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kamal, Veer, and Core HIR, and all the participants. Great interaction. I would have loved to go on and have your views as well, kind of make it more interactive. But I think not possible on a virtual platform. Definitely on an offline platform, we can do it. And as the lady mentioned that, self-esteem. And so we covered, there's a different program under which we cover 4 pillars of self, and self-esteem is a big part of it.
Very important.
We talk more on that self-image and self-expression and self-esteem. We take all that separately. It wasn't possible to bring it all out together here today in the time frame that we had. I hope you understand. But yes, we are absolutely open to any questions that you may have. Thank you once again, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you so much and have a great weekend ahead.
Thank
Enjoy.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Take care.